Hello and welcome to my first recording for all of you out there, wherever you may be. Don't really have an agenda with this platform. I'm kind of just rambling. So I've been sitting here listening to music, and I listen to a wide range of different things. I like some hip hop, some R&B, but I really love country music. Big country music fan. So I put on the shuffle, and then Redneck Woman came on, and I've never been a huge Gretchen Wilson fan, but then I started thinking, Gretchen Wilson is an interesting person, okay, because she didn't have her high school diploma whenever she became a celebrity. She went back and got it in 2008, which kind of made me wonder what else is going on with Gretchen Wilson. Like, who is she? So that led me to conduct some research, and what I found out about the song Redneck Woman and the woman behind the song is the genesis of the iconic Redneck Woman song is rooted in harsh economic realities of rural Illinois. Her full name is Gretchen Frances Wilson. She was born on June 26th, 1973, in Pocahontas, Illinois. Never heard of it. If you're from there, let me know what's going on there. I'm not Googling it. So, when her mom had her, she was a teenager. And, that set her up for childhood just saturated in struggle and financial instability. And her time was spent largely within the confines of a trailer park. Interesting. I don't really think of Illinois as like a place for that stereotype, but it is interesting that she's from Illinois and not, I would have said Alabama. No offense to people from Alabama. So obviously they're poor, living in the trailer park, so the need for a new revenue source came at an early age, and this made Gretchen drop out of high school in the 9th grade due to the family problems. So that's tying back to that fact I laid out earlier. So she quickly adapted to the working world. She took on roles as as a cook, and a bartender, and she dedicated her nights to music, and she was in 3 different bands by the age of 16. So what very Laura Palmer-esque, like she's working as a bartender, and then she is playing music and juggling the stress of all the other stuff going on in her life. And we don't know what else is going on, but anyway, this period of working multiple jobs while playing a bunch of music every night was a matter of survival for her, focused on the immediate goal to, quote, Gretchen, keep shoes on my feet and supper on the table, end quote. This struggle instilled in her the essential ethos captured in the lyric, quote, where I came from, we don't give up easily, end quote. which I the thing about country music is it's fun. It's most of the time, I mean, a lot of it's a joke, like, oh, my wife left, dog ran away, truck broke down. But there's some genuinely good bops out there, you know. Shania Twain puts out plenty of excellent songs. I personally, I like Kelly Pickler. I mean, best days of your life. Why have I not heard it? Like, that one's slept on, in my opinion. And fun fact about that, I didn't get to listen to it when it came out because my mom hated it. Like, she said that her voice was annoying. So I was never given the pleasure of hearing it in real time and having a fake divorce or breakup, whatever, as a child. Because, you know, you go through all the emotions, even though you've never experienced any of the things they're talking about. But my point is, with country music, it's a lot of it has the same messages. There's like three main things I can think of. It's like family, fun, having a good time, relaxing, beer. That's kind of just one, like the lifestyle, I guess. And then there's like the sad ones. That's a general, like, we'll put love and loss in another category. And then the third one is just true generic bullshit that, we've lost the plot. And that's how I feel with this particular line, is where I came from, we don't give up easily. Here's my problem with that. If you're in America, it doesn't matter where you are, especially like now, but when this was written, we as Americans typically just don't give up so easily. Very persistent people. Not always in a good way. But what do you mean where I came from? That's where if I go to New Mexico, I'm going to find some motherfuckers that don't give up so easily. If I go to Florida, I'm sure as hell going to find motherfuckers that don't give up so easily. The only place in America that you can go, and this is not true, is in DC. That's the only place. Because everybody there has given up. Anyway. So, the history of fierce self-sufficiency for Gretchen demonstrates a duality often overlooked by the public image of the carefree rebel, because that's her persona. And much like a lot of celebrities, I can't think of one celebrity where I'm like, that is probably their true, authentic self. Except for Nicole Kidman, because I feel like the roles that she plays they're always weird, and I feel like that's just her. She's showing us that. But if you think about any other celebrity, with the exception of like most horror icons, and still they're still playing a character, because people identify them as like, you know, Jason, Freddy Krueger, and they're like, oh, you're that, no matter how they. And, like, Matthew Lillard, always gonna be Stu, Shaggy. I can't get away from it. Anyway, my point is, celebrities, I feel like, are never authentic. And they always have a persona. And that's why it kind of bothers me that people think watching wrestling is stupid. I know that there's a resurgence because people really like Rhea Ripley. And good for you. But how dare you come in here after making fun of me my entire life, and now all of a sudden it's cool again? Fuck y'all. oh, one big titty goth girlfriend shows up and now you change your mind about how spandex and shit looks. How convenient. Anyway, celebrities have a persona, much like our friends in the WWE, that is, theirs is a little more over the top, and we know that they have real names. I hope you realize that they have actual names. But that's how I feel musicians, race car drivers, artists, any celebrity, they just have this outer shell. And hers, for some reason, is this rebel, carefree, like, I think we're appealing to moms who are fucking fed up with their loser husbands, and they're pissed off at their kids, but they love them, but they hate them, but they still love them. And so we're appealing to this very specific demographic of women who are fucking pissed. Great. So, despite the appearance of her permanent outsider status, Gretchen she possesses a rigorous drive for professional and personal legitimacy. Years after achieving massive success and winning a Grammy, she returned to her studies, enrolling in an adult education program in Wilson County, Tennessee, to complete her degree. She finished her homework and studies while on the road, receiving tutoring in her most challenging subject, math. Okay. Ma'am, I don't know, like, math. Math isn't real. Somebody made that up to just, like, you know how magicians do a trick and you're like, ooh, that's so crazy. That's what people do with math. That's not real. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, yes, 2 of something, and then I add 2, that equals 4. But if you start talking to me about, like, parentheses and long division, it's just like, who fucking cares? What does that even mean? I'm tired. I don't have time for that. So go off, Gretchen. She has publicly described this GED diploma as her favorite award and, quote, the thing that I hang on the wall that's most precious to me, end quote. That's what's, I don't know, I don't really hang anything on my wall except for DVDs, so I guess that makes sense, because those are the most precious to me. And it's really, like, do I have any photos of my family or anything nice? No. There's a Godzilla poster and DVDs and a dinosaur. So these are the things most precious to me. Everybody else get fucked. So this emphasis on her intellectual achievement reveals that sophisticated desire for personal validation and self-improvement that directly challenges the notion that the redneck woman persona is defined solely by a rejection of education and refinement. So, I don't know. I lost it. The psychological foundation of her defiant personality can be traced back to her earliest memories. Gretchen expresses a profound identification with legendary country singer Patsy Cline, specifically referencing the domestic volatility and struggle associated with Patsy Cline's life. The moving, the arguments, the crazy husband, and the violence. Gretchen states she grew up watching the same thing and suggests this experience is the reason for her current guarded nature. She claims it, quote, forms the person you are, end quote, and is the reason why there's a wall built in certain places in my life and not others. The public toughness is not merely entertainment, but a highly disciplined defensive structure built to protect a private identity forged in her early life trauma. So, obviously, there's nothing that deep here. Gretchen, I don't know, like, here we go, here, circling back to my idea of everybody having this persona. It's almost to a science, because if you read anything about any celebrity, it's always like, well, that's not true, but a lot of them who are playing this character that she is playing, it's like, oh, my daddy was an alcoholic, my mom wanted a son, and they beat me with a belt, and I had to wear plastic bags on my feet. I don't know. So I just feel like there's the same story, and not to shit on this, because this is a very crazy thing to say, so if I lose you here, it's been real. But it's kind of like the same thing with Johnny Cash and Elvis, where it's just like, you watch this and you're like, yeah, I mean, okay, because you're like, I think people watch it and they're like, oh, I can relate to this, so I like this person more. But to me, it's insulting, because I'm not sure I believe all of these things. I don't know. I feel like a lot of how we relate to people is just made up so that they can make us bond with this identity and then push an agenda or message through that person. And they start with very simple suggestions of things, and then they push it and see what they can get away with. So it's very important whenever you hold on to these celebrities or like these people you like, it's important to remember to keep your wits about you. Because I don't even think it's gotten to the point where some celebrities come out and do the craziest shit, but some of them just do things and get away with it, and there's like a spectrum, right? So they're on the low end, there's people who keep it light and funny, like George Takei, but he's still pushing a message, whether you agree with it or not. But he uses humor and other light things to make you like him, and then he can say whatever he wants, pretty much, and people are like, bet. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have people who are wildly inflammatory and say crazy inflammatory shit because this space audience will agree with it, and they like shit like that because they're fucking, I don't know. I don't know how that works, but there's like Trump, he does whatever he wants on a big scale. It's like a presentation, and people eat it up, on both sides, really, because he's guaranteeing that everybody will be talking about it for one reason or another, either because they're upset or because they agree. So really, it's impressive. I don't love it, but it's like the effort, like what genius came up with this fucking method? And I've seen people try to mimic it, and they don't have such a big reach that they can do it, and then they inevitably get booed off the stage, so to speak. Anyway, my point is that I think that her referencing Patsy Cline is a way to pull at some heartstrings, which, get your bag, girl, but I don't know, that's a little, the guilt trip is real. So, the thing about Gretchen, so she moves to Nashville to pursue her music career and continue to work as a bartender because slinging them beers. She spent years facing repeated rejection from the major label establishment. Allegedly. Again, this is all information I've gotten off the internet, compiled, so I don't believe it, because it's off the fucking internet, and they're weaving some kind of crazy story for me, but sure. She got rejected a lot. Imagine that. Ooh, I've never heard this one before. Tell me again, Grandpa. So the prevailing industry template favored a quote-unquote Barbie doll type who was slick and perfect. Don't like that sentence. But see, I don't know about that. I need to Barbie doll type. When I'm gonna Google this in real time, because I typed bullet points and now I'm going off on a tangent on my already stupid tangent. When was Gretchen? What? Okay. She was most popular between 2004 and 2005. Okay. So Gretchen Wilson has dark hair. In her prime, in this 2004 image, she looks pretty good. Let me see. Oh, damn. Yeah, I mean, like, she's cute. I wouldn't say, like, this is, like, Coyote Ugly hot, which is still hot. Okay. Popular country music. Female artists. 2004 through 2005. Not. Okay. Okay, so here, okay. First on the list, Faith Hill. Okay, now let's look at a picture of Faith Hill from 2005. Faith Hill 2005 looks nothing like a goddamn Barbie doll. Her hair is dark with some blonde highlight, but it's like a very dirty blonde. It's not like a true fucking blonde. She has great teeth. She doesn't look like she's wearing that much makeup. It's like, what is Barbie doll? Like, when you say Barbie doll, do you mean blonde hair, blue eyes? Because Faith Hill, it looks like her eyes are fucking brown. So I don't, okay, so strike one against your fucking bullshit story, Gretchen Wilson. Martina McBride. Before I even fucking look at a picture of Martina McBride from 2005, I'm gonna venture to say her hair is red. Because I just feel like that's... Wow, guess what? Martina McBride, 2005. Short red hair. She doesn't look like a Barbie at all. She's not, like, fucking hot, but she's cute. Like, this is the type of girl you take on a date and roll out the fucking blanket and pull out some wine and watch the stars. Like, she's good looking, but she is not a blonde Barbie. Her eyes are hazel. So strike two against this bullshit theory. LeAnn Rimes. Okay. I have to give you that one, because I'm pretty sure LeAnn Rimes does have blonde hair. Yes. Okay. LeAnn Rimes does have blonde hair, but her eyes are very squinty looking. They're very narrow. So I wouldn't say they're Barbie-ish. She looks fucking high. Maybe she was. Her eyes are also hazel. Her teeth are kind of strange. Again, the only thing Barbie like about this woman is the dirty blonde hair. And again, it's not a true blonde. It's not like any of these women look like fucking Paris Hilton walking around, which I love Paris Hilton. I'm just making a point. These women look very much so like they belong there. What? Okay. Alison Krauss, Jesus Christ. Love her. Very talented woman. And let's I'm pretty sure she has dark hair too. I fucking lied. Okay. She has short blonde hair in most of these images around this time. But again, wouldn't really qualify her as Barbie doll type, because I'm pretty sure she's older than all of these women. Unless I'm just making that shit up. But she dresses like a fucking grandma. And she let me see. She was 34 in 2005, so that makes her a lot older. And by a lot, I mean at least 10 years. So wouldn't really say Barbie doll type on that one. Again, just because she has blonde hair, but we take points away because it's short, because I've never seen a Barbie with short hair, but I don't really fucking look at Barbies, so... Alright, and the last one, so we are 0 for 4. So the last one is Sarah Evans, and again, I am pretty certain that this woman has dark hair. Because I remember watching the music video for Suds in the Bucket at whatever fucking age I was in 2005, and I was like, that woman is very hot. Oh, what do we know? Dark hair. And damn, okay. She looks really good in this picture. Yeah, I mean, dark hair. She doesn't really wear a lot of makeup either. She's very pretty. She's like like high school prom queen. Like, there's another one, but you know what I mean? Like prom queen, hot, in your small town. Like, yes. Okay. Would probably have prom night sex with Sarah Evans and we have a baby. Oh god. Anyway, I think the Barbie doll type, we can put that to rest. Again, that's just what Google gave me as the top 5, so I'm sure, but that's who it says was most popular, and none of them fit this bullshit template that is a part of this story. So, these are characteristics Gretchen fundamentally failed to meet, allegedly. I wasn't the right age. I wasn't exactly thin enough. I wasn't soft enough, pretty enough, she recounted of the constant professional critiques. Okay, she wasn't... Hold on. Wasn't the right age. Okay. So, remembering our story from earlier, where we said Allison was 34, Gretchen was 32 in 2005. So I guess like she is on the like the older. I can't argue with that, but your other shit is bullshit. So during this period of professional alienation, she encountered John Rich, a pivotal figure who would become her most important collaborator and an architect of her success. John Rich was a seasoned Nashville insider who had been commercially thwarted, having been fired from Lone Star and dropped by RCA. This shared history of failure and rejection formed the basis for their strategic partnership. Okay, so again, I ask you, who the fuck is getting it right on their first time, besides like 0.001% of the population? Like, who is actually out here? Like, if you formed a bond over like, oh my god, I've been rejected in the music industry too, then everybody would be a goddamn, they'd be like fucking blood brothers. But that's not the case. That just doesn't make any sense. Like, there has to be something else. Like, they bumped into each other on the street and he knocked over her fucking bag of lipsticks. I don't know why the whole bag has lipsticks in it, but just go with it. And he's like, oh shit, dumb bitch, you fucking put your lipsticks out on the street. Now I have to pick them up. And then they're picking them up, and he picks up this one, and he goes, oh, my dead wife used that lipstick. And she goes, that's my favorite one, bitch. And he's like, damn. So then they form a relationship. Or, scenario B, Gretchen Wilson comes into the bank, and she asked to withdraw $20 so she can put money in her gas tank. And John Rich is sitting behind the counter thinking about how he lost that fucking nice job he had, and now he just has an okay job at the bank, sitting there not doing a goddamn thing. If you work at a bank, I don't mean that. That's probably a stressful job. Anyway, he's just sitting there. She asks for the $20. He says there's insufficient funds in your bank account. She starts crying. He feels bad. He goes, here, ma'am, you can have $20. And he's written his number on the back of it. Now, this makes her want him for two reasons. One, because he gave her $20. That makes you interested in somebody. Two, he broke the law by writing defacing money. And as we know, she has a rebel persona that is so deeply ingrained in her mind and body that she was overcome with pleasure and desire. So she was like, John Rich, you and I, buddy. So the concept that launched Gretchen's career was born out of this shared frustration. Whoop-de-fucking-do. One day, while Wilson and John Rich were watching music videos on CMT, which, why the fuck were they watching music videos on CMT? Unless they're BFFs, they're a strategic partnership. We don't just sit around the house together watching CMT music videos. There has to be a reason, because that shit comes on in the middle of the fucking day. especially back then, it doesn't anymore, obviously, that I know of. Is CMT even a channel? And do they show anything else other than Gunsmoke? Anyway, that shit comes on, like, from 1 p.m. until, like, fucking 6. And then a bunch of other bullshit comes on. So you're telling me, in the middle of the day, you and your professional strategic partner are sitting around watching music videos, and it doesn't say where, and I can't imagine it being in a fucking office, or where they're not out talking business over lunch, because where the fuck would there be a TV? So it has to be at one of their houses. So why are you having a professional business meeting in your professional partner's residence? On top of that, most of the time, the TV is only in one of two places. The living room or the bedroom. Sometimes I do see, like in an 80s movie, when they have a small one in the kitchen. Very confused by that idea. Don't understand it. Or sometimes people have one in their bathroom. Again, don't know what the fuck your problem is. Please seek help. So they're either in the living room doing what? Don't know. Or in the bedroom, and we know what they're doing in there. So strategic partnership, my fucking ass. So they are watching these music videos, and a recording by a quote-unquote conventionally glamorous female artist was playing, specifically Faith Hill's Breathe, where she is seen rolling around in the satin sheets. So, Faith fucking Hill, how dare you? Like, oh my god, because she's sexy, why are we mad that she's rolling around in satin sheets? So, Gretchen Wilson is smoking a Marlboro. Doesn't say red or what, but I don't think she was. I think she was smoking Pall Malls, because she's fucking trash. Just kidding. I'm so sorry. And with a dip of cherry skull in her mouth. Excuse me, you were doing dip and smoking a cigarette? That is fucking unhinged. I've never heard of something so silly. She looked at Rich and lamented that success would never come because she would never conform to that supermodel image that she has somehow just made up in her own reality. She declared, "I'm just kind of a redneck woman." Rich, recognizing the vast untapped market potential of an authentic, non-glamorous voice, immediately countered, "Then that's the song we need to write." Okay. I see what you're doing, and I don't disagree, but surely, I don't know, I'm not brushed up on my music history, but I feel like Gretchen Wilson did not start the bitchy country music wave or whatever. Like, there's just no fucking way. I refuse to accept that. That's not real. Like, hold on. What? Hold on. Okay, yeah, see, like, what are they talking about, like, this untapped market of, because it's just like, Reba McEntire was right here. Be so fucking for real. Like, how are you gonna do that to Reba? Anyway. So, they sit down, and it was not a creative accident. It was a highly calculated commercial strategy devised by two establishment industry outliers to target a recognized gap in the market, the lack of a voice for the working class, the unpolished American woman. So feminism is alive and well, y'all, in fucking 2004. This deliberate articulation of her identity, the anti-Barbie doctrine, resulted in that song, Redneck Woman, which Wilson performed for Sony Music Leadership. It secured her record deal and immediately exploded commercially, becoming the fastest rising country track in the previous decade and holding the number one spot for 5 weeks. Her debut album, Here for the Party, went on to sell 5 million copies. This demonstrated that the packaging of her previously rejected traits was the key to financial success outside of this established formula. So, Gretchen Wilson's explosion onto the national scene was not an isolated event, but the most visible success story of a clandestine musical movement, the Music Mafia. This informal collective was founded in October of 2001 by Big Kenny Alphen and John Rich, alongside John Nicholson and Corey Gearman, affectionately known as the founding Godfathers. The Mafia was an answer to Nashville's stifling conformity. Its core philosophy was radical for the mainstream country industry, based on the mottos, music without prejudice, and love everybody. This commitment ensured that their weekly gatherings were open and non-judgmental, welcoming performers and attendees regardless of age, ethnicity, sex, gender, financial status, social ranking, or belief system. The original venue for this artistic rebellion was the Pub of Love in Nashville, where the collective held free acoustic late shows every Tuesday. These gatherings were not traditional showcases, but laboratories for genre fusion. The roster regularly included artists specializing in blues, rock, pop, rap, bluegrass, gospel, R&B, soul, and they often shared the stage with spoken word artists, jugglers, fire breathers, painters, and this radically diversified environment served a critical purpose. It allowed the syndicate to test new genre blends and market concepts far away from corporate scrutiny. So Wilson was a deeply embedded member of this collective, which provided the essential creative and philosophical infrastructure for the Redneck Woman brand to flourish. The Music Mafia functioned effectively as a self-sustaining venture capital firm focused on market disruption, describing itself as a supportive family where members maintained oversight, ensuring no one got too far out of hand, so to speak. The Music Mafia ultimately engineered a cultural coup by leveraging Wilson and Big and Rich. The collective contributed to a significant change in the Nashville commercial recording industry, collectively selling over 11 million albums in less than 5 years. This achievement solidified the understanding that the collective's approach was, in fact, a highly efficient commercial mechanism. Gretchen Wilson's success was intrinsically linked to her syndicate contacts. She co-wrote the majority of the songs for her early Sony releases with her Music Mafia crewmates. For example, the title track, Here for the Party, was co-written by Gretchen, John Rich, and Big Kenny. This deliberate control over the creative process ensured that Music Mafia's ethos permeated the commercial output, guaranteeing the authenticity that audiences craved. The Redneck Woman became more than a song. It became a carefully crafted identity totem. Wilson's guitar neck even proclaimed redneck in mother-of-pearl inlay. The persona was consistently reinforced through her aggressive image, often compared to the rock artist Kid Rock, due to her Midwestern background, consumption of just straight Jack Daniels, and her willingness to engage in a bar fight. Gretchen, you need to fucking chill, girl. So her performances strategically integrated hard rock and metal covers, including Enter Sandman, Barracuda, some Skynyrd, and Led Zeppelin. She integrated this into her country show. This cultural fusion, facilitated by Music Mafia's Music Without Prejudice doctrine, broadened her appeal far beyond traditional country radio, bridging the gap between mainstream country and rock audiences, and securing a vastly larger consumer base for the syndicate. The goal was to redefine what constituted country music by infiltrating it with the energy of generalized rock rebellion. By the close of the 2000s, the operational dynamics between Wilson and her major label partner, Sony Music Nashville, had deteriorated. Wilson observed significant turnover within the company. She felt the environment didn't feel as comfortable as I wanted it to, because only a handful of the executives she originally signed with remained. This erosion of trust prompted a decisive maneuver to regain creative and commercial sovereignty. In 2010, Gretchen Wilson parted ways with Sony and swiftly established her own independent label, tentatively named Redneck Records. Give it a fucking rest, Gretchen. This move was driven by a need for efficiency and complete creative control, a desire to do things her way. As she explained, she is high-strung and prefers to finish projects quickly, a process difficult under the constraints of a major label. The commercial impact of this shift revealed the necessity of the major label machine for maintaining peak sales velocity. While her debut album, Here for the Party, sold 5 million copies, if you recall, her subsequent Sony album, One of the Boys, sold over just 250,000. 5 million versus 250,000. Gretchen. Post Sony, her first independent release on Redneck Records, I Got Your Country Right Here, 2010, which, performed strongly on the US independent charts, peaking at number 3, and reached number 6 on the US country charts. This trajectory suggests a trade-off. Autonomy and creative speed were gained, but at the cost of the mass market that she was afforded by a major label. The establishment of Redneck Records cemented her status as a full-fledged entrepreneur and producer, capable of running her own enterprise. So, she continued to embrace her role as that creative director and talent mentor. She insisted on working with artists who demonstrate profound tenacity, such as Jessie G, a newcomer who sold crab and tuna to fund her move to Nashville. Hold on. Crab and tuna? Are you just selling loose crab and canned tuna? Is that working? Can I get in on that? So Gretchen specifically notes that few women possess the necessary strength to endure the non-glamorous realities of the music business, indicating her demanding standard for authentic dedication. Notes that few women possess... Here, I thought that we were on this whole feminist bullshit where we're like, I don't look like this whole thing is fucking crazy, right? So like the basis of being like, I'm not a Barbie doll type. So here we go saying I don't relate to women. I just do my own thing. I'm one of the boys, and she's one of those annoying motherfuckers, right? And the fact that it is mentioned that she notes that few women possess the necessary strength to endure, I'm sorry. I think that women endure a lot. They have to endure men. That's fucking crazy. They have to endure childbirth. They have to endure working a job and still running a household. So for you to come in here and say few women possess the necessary strength to endure, fuck you, Gretchen Wilson. That, I'm not saying all women can. I'm just saying, you saying that few women can, it's just like, yeah, not everybody wants to be a fucking country music artist. In fact, I think that's pretty low on most people's MO. Like, there's probably 500 things I could think of that I would rather do than be a country music star. So, and you know what, for people that dream of that, love that for you. I like I said, I enjoy country music. Not anything I've heard recently, but historically I do. But it's just, yeah, they probably start doing this and they're like, God, this kind of sucks. I'm gonna go back to being a waitress at a cocktail bar. Fuck this. So, my point is Gretchen Wilson is pretending to be a feminist, and she is for people who think they're feminist, but in the same breath will turn around and make fun of another woman just for being hot. And why is that a crime? Because you're self-conscious? Get it together. Why, oh, would you do that? So, on her 2017 album, Ready to Get Rowdy, Gretchen cemented her commitment to control by co-authoring all the songs for the first time in her career. Outside of her music career, Gretchen reserves her greatest honors for her private life, citing her daughter, Grace Francis, and her hard-won GED as her most precious accomplishments. However, her willingness to engage with mainstream media demonstrated a continued strategic adaptation of her persona. Just this year, in the Lord's year of 2025, Wilson executed a profound strategic pivot by winning season 13 of Fox's reality competition, The Masked Singer, performing as the character Pearl. This event stands as the ultimate act of disguised infiltration. Gretchen, the artist built on unvarnished authenticity and the rejection of artifice, used an elaborate, lavish sea-themed costume to conceal her identity. Her performance repertoire was wildly diverse, including powerful renditions of pop, soul, and rock classics by Whitney Houston, Gloria Estefan, and The Pretenders. This showcase of vocal versatility proved she possessed a highly refined skill set that transcended the country rock box her redneck woman identity confined her to. Gretchen acknowledged the significance of the event, stating it was, without a doubt, the craziest thing I ever agreed to do, and it ended up being one of the most rewarding. The pearl disguise served as a physical metaphor for her career. The rough, resilient exterior, the shell, hiding the polished, multifaceted talent, the pearl, beneath. It proved her capacity to infiltrate any mainstream platform under complete camouflage. So, Gretchen's public persona is not complete without acknowledging her deep-seated conspiratorial beliefs, which provide a psychological framework for her anti-authority actions. she is an avowed conspiracy theorist who harbors specific suspicions about government action and hidden surveillance. Gretchen firmly believes that Alexa is actively listening to your private conversations, confirming her conviction that she is being spied on through her in-house technology. Then why do you fucking have it? Nobody made you do that. Furthermore, she maintains that there was a second shooter involved in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Okay, while she generally accepts the 1969 moon landing, she also believes that Bigfoot is real. Not that fucking crazy. The second shooter thing, you're wild for that one. But I digress. So Gretchen is convinced that the world is controlled by a secret group, the Illuminati, which she theorizes is a network that is a lot bigger than 8 or 10 people. That's very specific, Gretchen. Go off, I guess. This paranoia regarding a vast unseen entity controlling global events is a psychological echo of her own professional reality. She was, in fact, a key component of a secretive controlling collective, the Music Mafia, that masterminded a massive industry change. Her belief in deep state control legitimizes her anti-authority public stance, suggesting that her defiant actions are not irrational temper tantrums, but rational responses to a hostile, monitored world. So, the necessity of maintaining her anti-establishment credibility, of course, requires her periodic public demonstrations of defiance, because she has to just poke her fucking face through and show us that this ruse is still going. These high-stakes incidents confirm to her audience that fame has not tamed her working-class grit, if you could call it that. The first significant public incident occurred in August of 2018 at Bradley International Airport in Connecticut. Following a minor disturbance on an incoming flight, Connecticut State Police responded. When authorities attempted to speak with her on the jetway, Gretchen, quote, became belligerent toward the troopers and caused a disturbance, end quote, resulting in her arrest and a charge of breach of peace. The charge was ultimately dismissed after Wilson agreed to a $500 donation to a charity for injured crime victims, requiring her to remain out of trouble in the jurisdiction for 13 months. What a minor disturbance. So, what do we think this minor disturbance was? Well, we heard straight from the horse's mouth that she likes to apparently drink Jack Daniels straight. So jot that down. And I feel like this is just a simple case of drunken disorderly and her not liking the police, allegedly, and fighting them. So a $500 donation. Is that what it takes to get out of trouble? Fascinating. So here she goes again. A similar incident occurred in 2019 in New Mexico following her performance at a local music festival. The police were called to the Hotel Encanto after Gretchen and other guests had reportedly, quote, worn out their welcome, end quote, due to noise, receiving multiple warnings from the staff. Wilson disputed the claims, arguing that she was evicted in the middle of the night for no reason, and that the trouble began with her complaining about slow room service. So, I think we have a pattern here of just drinking too much damn alcohol. I don't know. Footage from the police lapel cameras revealed her aggressive defiance during the removal. As officers attempted to maintain control, Gretchen began questioning their priorities and neutrality. She sarcastically suggested the officers were neglecting serious crimes, stating, "You should probably be somewhere else looking at some real shit and not here doing this." Sorry, I don't know what I typed. Looking at some real shit. She then challenged the fundamental fairness of the law enforcement process, demanding, "What the fuck happened to our words against others?" What? Hold on. Who? Our words against others. So... is this a racist? Because she's in New Mexico, and what the fuck happened to our words against others? I'm doing a quick Google search. Okay, so I'm not here to point fingers, or I'm just simply throwing this out there. In the state of New Mexico, 50.1% of the New Mexico population identifies as Hispanic or Latino. The next largest groups are white, Native American, and then Black or African American. So I would like to do a little more digging on the side and see who, if I could find out who specifically threw her out of the hotel and what color the cops were. What race the cops were who arrested her, because low-key this feels racist, saying what the fuck happened to our words against others. I don't know about that one, Chief. Gretchen Wilson, you're not doing a good job of being a good person throughout all of this. You're being sexist, probably homophobic. I feel like let's just throw that in there, sure. And racist. My. So, these confrontations are essential theater for the protocol. They serve as calculated reality checks, proving that the millionaire celebrity has not been corrupted by the corporate world, but continues to identify as the scorned working-class figure resisting the perceived establishment. The minimal financial and legal penalties associated with these incidents are such a small and trivial cost compared to the immense brand loyalty and the credibility gained. Do we see? And this can be seen all around. Like, I don't know. The exhaustive examination of Gretchen Wilson's life and career reveals that her success is not the result of an accidental hit song, but rather the flawless execution of a sophisticated, multi-phase plan of cultural and commercial infiltration, dubbed the Redneck Woman Protocol. So this leads us to the hypothesis of engineered rebellion and the music mafia's Trojan horse. The music mafia was not merely a band of artists' friends. It was an economic and cultural syndicate established by cynical but brilliant commercial minds, namely John Rich and Big Kenny. Having faced personal rejection from Nashville's rigid system, they realized the only way to conquer the industry was to launch its ideological opposite. The collective's ethos of music without prejudice was perfect, high-minded camouflage for a strategy of market disruption. Gretchen Wilson was identified and recruited as the ideal cultural weapon. Her authentic poverty, resilience, evident by her later GED attainment, and her genuine visceral hatred of women provided the raw, credible material needed to engineer country music's most explosive brand of the new century. The protocol was rolled out in 3 calculated phases. Phase 1 was infiltration. The brand's architects, Rich and Kinney, designed this anti-Barbie persona and co-wrote the blueprint songs, Redneck Woman and Here for the Party. They then secured the Sony contract, utilizing the corporate machine's vast resources, the very system they claimed to despise, to achieve maximum initial velocity, leading to 5 million album sales for the debut. That leads us to Phase 2, maximum extraction. Operating within the Nashville system, the Music Mafia Collective extracted maximum financial value, selling over 11 million albums. They fundamentally altered the industry landscape by proving that authenticity, weaponized as rebellion, was far more profitable than slick conformity. And then we take it to Phase 3, the purge and autonomy. Gretchen's departure from Sony and the establishment of Redneck Records signaled to the public that the war against the major labels was complete. This new independent entity functions as a sovereign operating base for the syndicate, guaranteeing creative and commercial control, allowing Wilson to mentor new recruits who meet the high standard that she has of resilience required by the protocol. So that brings us to the Godfathers, that founding group, their control, and the perpetual performance clause. The integrity of the Redneck Woman brand was too valuable to risk. Therefore, the protocol requires perpetual high-visibility performance to maintain their credibility. John Rich's directorial oversight, from the initial creative spark to co-authoring the defining material, ensured the persona remained commercially viable and on message. The protocol demands a continuous state of chaos and confrontation to assure the fan base that the artist has not been tamed by wealth. The public incidents of defiance are interpreted as mandated operational maneuvers. We have public defiance as brand reinforcement. Her arrests for belligerence at the airport and her eviction from the New Mexico hotel are not mere mistakes, but calculated acts of rebellion. When she is challenged by the police, and she challenges the police neutrality, asking what the fuck happened to our words against others, she is consciously adopting the role of the working class martyr, sacrificing personal comfort to validate the anti-authority contract she holds with her audience. Again, what's something that her fan base probably has in common with this statement? Racism. The end. So then that brings us to the cost-benefit analysis. The financial penalties for these breaches, such as the $500 charity donation, are a negligible operation expense when weighed against the exponential increase in brand authenticity and media attention secured by the chaos. Also, isn't that a tax write-off? Do celebrities file taxes? No. So the trajectory of Gretchen Wilson's career culminates in her victory on The Masked Singer's Pearl. This event is the most sophisticated step of the protocol and the final proof of the conspiracy's scope. Gretchen's documented personal paranoia regarding a vast Illuminati and constant surveillance suggests she lives in a psychological state of high operational readiness, viewing every authority figure, from a police officer to a hotel manager, as a potential agent of the hostile system, the real shit she told police they should be pursuing. The Pearl assignment served 2 critical purposes. The first one, disguised intelligence. By performing hidden under an elaborate costume and mastering diverse pop and soul genres, Gretchen demonstrated that the raw, tough exterior of that redneck woman was merely the casing for a highly trained, multi-talented operative. She proved the protocol trained an artist capable of infiltrating any musical or media landscape. The second purpose was total media conquest. That victory secured the music mafia's influence across a major U.S. media network, Fox, broadening their cultural reach beyond the limitations of the country music genre. The pearl disguise was the ultimate symbol. Again, the roughness of the shell was necessary to create the smooth, valuable gem within. So that brings us to my conclusion. The central unifying theory of Gretchen Wilson's career is that she is the genius commander of a brilliantly cynical corporate cultural operation. She successfully created a brand of engineered authenticity that conquered the music industry and continued to influence other creators to this day. However, the Redneck Woman Protocol demands constant vigilance and performance. To remain commercially viable, Gretchen Wilson must forever embody the alleged struggles that she overcame. She is eternally bound to the cycle of this rebellion, this defiance, and this makes her the ultimate paradox. A highly sophisticated, multimillionaire CEO who must perpetually perform the role of untamed, uneducated, and constantly battling with the law. She's just a fucking outlaw. She is the ultimate prisoner of her own manufactured rebellion.